Which fanbase has been betrayed the most? By DsTheRed.
PM_me_your_tax_plan says. Fans of the Sims games. Sims 4 has DLC for DLC. Edit, one of the DLCs for the DLC, which also includes a much-loved feature from the base game of Sims 3, Create a Style, that was stripped from the base game of Sims 4.
Papermato99 says, How I Met Your Mother fans stuck with it through a rough final season just to be given a god-awful finale. That spoiler broke up Barney and Robin in all of 2 seconds, after building their relationship for such a long time, and returned Barney to his old self after so much development. Not to mention, the dead mother in a show called How I Met Your Mother.
Deleted says, Half-Life fans. I've been doing this since HL1 was in magazines and I was excited by the sci-fi shooting game. I installed Steam before HL2 came out. I watched Gabe go from, paraphrasing, we're moving to episodic content in order to release games quicker, to releasing 2 fantastic games relatively quickly, to quite possibly the most painful cliffhanger of my life. It's made worse by the fact that the end of episode 2 gives you a ton of hints and hooks about some of the prime mysteries of the world, in an astounding first for the entire series, and now we've been left hanging with absolutely no closure for about 10 years. It would be one thing if they said, officially, it's not coming. But they haven't. Just an endless stream of no comment, and we aren't discussing that at this time, breaking my heart more and more. I'm nearly 30 years old and I get way more bothered about this than I should. But I can almost trace a line directly back to that kid in elementary school salivating over a PC gamer, to the teen who rode his bike to 2 different EB games to get the G-Man barks, to the guy fresh out of high school playing through episode 2, to the adult sitting here, stoned in his underwear, typing about how badly he wants some real closure. Epistle 3 is almost closure, but real closure is we aren't making Half-Life 3. Or Half-Life 3 releases.
Deleted says. Probably the Sonic one for how many horrible Sonic games there have been.
Bootwhistle says. There was a 90s computer animated show called Reboot. The series had a good run but a trilogy of movies ended on a cliffhanger. Reboot has since been rebooted. The trailer is bad, very bad.
Bovaloe says. A Song of Ice and Fire series fans will never get closure.
pjwestin says. I'd say anyone who's a fan of any Konami game. Love Metal Gear? We're firing the creator. That Silent Hill game we were making with Del Toro? Cancelled. Now if you'll excuse us, we have to go make pachinko machines out of your favorite video games, instead of making actual video games.
Shadowthiefdark says. Cube World. Great potential, lots of hypes, about 5 updates and then ghosted by the dev. Those over at the Cube World subreddit still hold out hope after all these years that the developer will finally update again. He still occasionally posts statuses on his Twitter.
SchrodingersCatPics says. I just want Fry and Seymour to finally both actually know what really happened.
Malaix says. I don't see Spore on here, but let me tell you that situation felt really shitty for me. Spore was a game that was meant to be sim life realized. Before the release, when we got those first videos of the microbe/sea life/land life video, Life Simulator fans went nuts. This was our game. We are a niche of gamers that basically never get catered to, and here came Maxis to deliver the sim game of the century. The fan page was literally filled with hypothetical species people were going to make, with whole textbook entries as to where and how this species lived. There were arboreal animals in trees, cave animals, deep-sea filter feeders, everything. And then Spore came out. The animal portion got dumbed down a ton. Basically animals all behaved the same except some chewed on fruit and danced with other species and some murdered and ate other species. You built creatures by digging up fossils and unlocking random bits. Yeah. And everything was bound to land pretty much and nested on the ground. No interesting life cycles or niches. Just whacking things to death and dancing with the neighbors. The whole ocean part was just flat out removed, and if you dared venture into the water you got chomped by the fucking swamp creature's kaiju cousin. And all that innovative animal sim stuff was basically cut to make room for the most watered down rip-offs of other games imaginable. Watered down shitty RTS, Watered and watered down shitty civilization-style city stage. 2 unmemorable boring filler stages everyone hated to act as filler for the space age, which was just you floating around in a spaceship terraforming planets and making colonies so they could get attacked by pirates and crap, also you could fight your way to the center of the galaxy and get a rod that lets you terraform a couple more planets for free. Some space stuff was sort of fun, but I would have happily cut all of it to keep the animal evolution and ecosystem sim and made that a complete game. Instead we got an unmemorable disappointment that became the poster child for spreading your game too thin. And we have never seen anything like the original Spore promise.
DorkVader1 says. Cleveland Browns fire every head coach every 2 years, except the one who went 1-31.
Nafemp says. A few come to mind tbh. Avatar: The Last Airbender with that shitty movie adaptation. Eragon with an arguably equally as shitty if not even more shitty movie adaptation. Halo fans with the piss-poor writing of the last 2 titles. Chronicle for those who know that movie, by Fox ruining a pretty damned amazing sequel script. Martyr, leaked and would have made a pretty good sequel. Emo, in turn for trying to turn the franchise into a Paranormal Activity like cash cow that ended up just tanking the franchise with no sequel release.
TrueTechIlo512 says. Halo 5 no couch coop. Come on.
xzamin says. Tool have said their album is not far away for the last 5 years.
Foreskin42 says. I would normally say Mass Effect, but the way EA has come at Star Wars 1 will go with that. Granted, Star Wars fans are the worst. We hate ourselves.
Deleted says. Fans of Sherlock, the show, and they don't even know it. Edit, I stand corrected, you guys have told me loud and clear that you do know LOL.
Puck83821 says. Arrow fans. 2 words, FELICITYSMOAK.
PowerfulJoeF says. My name is Earl. Anyone? How TF are you gonna end on a crazy cliffhanger like that? The show was silly and all, but you really get attached to the characters and hope the best for them.
JM Black says. Avatar: The Last Airbender, not in that the creators butchered it, but someone along the way sold it off and fucked it all up with that movie. I'd rather claim James Cameron's Avatar as the movie adaptation, it makes about as much canonical sense.
DestreaX says. Destiny, Bungie's fanbase. Coming from someone who has 1,300 plus hours on Destiny 1 and still plays occasionally, Destiny 2 is a funless mess for me. Finished the campaign and played around 70 hours total, but I can't find any incentives to keep me coming back to play. It makes me so sad to not enjoy it. Just looking at /r/Destiny the game will show just how disappointed the fans are, and it makes me really sad to see, since I love the series so much. The worst part is that Bungie isn't even listening to the players and are still doing what they want on their own time. A new update is supposed to come out and improve the game's basic systems and play speed, but I don't even think I'm gonna bother trying it, cause it's not a big enough difference to keep me coming back. Frown.
Greyetch says. Alien, wow, that was good. Aliens, okay, this was an 80s action flick, but still good. Alien 3, wait. Alien 4, what? Prometheus, oh okay, new direction, I'm feeling it. Alien 5, Ridley Starp.
DeadBlue says. In almost every fanfiction posted before 2010, you'll find a disclaimer that says something like I do not own the characters within. They belong to the author. I always thought that was so stupid, like, of course you don't own Spock. Apparently people started doing that after the author of the Vampire Chronicles made threats of legal action against fanfiction authors, who were creating not-for-profit works of fiction because they just loved the series. Fanfictions can be really long too, like almost as long as books or longer. I can't imagine working so hard on something you truly love and then receiving notice that the creator wants to sue you because of it.
randomdarkbrownguy says. I only heard this from being around when it came out but didn't know Man's Sky fans really hate the game they were so hyped to get.
everydaydude says. People who live in the 48 states left on Sufjan Stevens' promise to record an album for each state.
KermMartian says. Came expecting a Firefly thread, Left disappointed. So many intriguing arcs were set up that could have been deeply developed, from what exactly they made River, to Inara's illness and relationship with Mal, and his emotional growth, to more of Book's backstory than was resolved in The Shepherd's Tale. I'm glad we at least got Sir Enity to tie up some of the loose ends, but I rue constantly that show getting cut short.
TheGloriousHobo says, fans of Fortnite. Not the Battle Royale part, the actual Fortnite that costs money. With how popular the Battle Royale version is and how much money it's presumably making, Epic has put all of their eggs into that mode now, instead of the base game. It's a sad state of affairs on the Fortnite subreddit nowadays.
Purdaddy says, Kingkiller Chronicles. I don't want Rothfuss to force a book he doesn't feel is ready, but he was plugging the 10th anniversary edition of Book 1. You're gonna charge people a lot of money for a fancy edition of a book in a series you won't even talk about completing anymore. Him and GRRM have put me off reading any unfinished series.
eDgAR says, Facebook. I would definitely say that fans and supporters of it have been betrayed pretty badly, aligned with all other users.
MsCNO says, X-Files fans. This last season was a joke. The finale had me livid. No wonder Gillian Anderson said she is done. Fuck you, Chris Carter.
Laterdude says, the Miami Marlins. Fire sales after each of their World Series victories, then they fired Joe Girardi after he was named Manager of the Year and led them back to respectability in 2006. Then after the city builds them a new stadium, they go right back to giving away all their stars this past winter.
Moronicuniform says, Steven Universe. Hey, wasn't that a fun year-long hiatus? Here, have 4 new episodes in 1 week before your year-and-a-half hiatus begins. Don't worry. While you wait, you can still watch reruns of all your favorite episodes of Teen Titans Go. Literally all day every day with a new episode every week.
Atot10 says, I'm thinking Star Wars fans, after the prequels Disney takes over and throws their entire extended universe in the trash, then regurgitates the first movie again and follows it with a sequel designed to shake things up by destroying what's left of their dogma.
Ooniversidad says, Gargoyles. Awesome. Before its time cartoon on Disney in 1992, still has some of the most dedicated and shit-upon fans in 2018. We got 2 amazing seasons right out of Greg Weisman's beautiful head before they ripped him off the show and gave us nonsense in season 3. Greg tried to continue with comics that are released so sporadically that Steven Universe would cry, with art that fan artists would laugh off of DeviantArt. All while dedicated cons are going on with people who love the series, still screaming for good content. For 25 goddamn years. Greg has an Ask Greg website where he has almost admitted every plot point in the series, and it is stuff of a writer's nightmares. With each question he oscillates between hopeful, coy answers making us think that something might be in the works for us, to depressing tell-all, knowing that he is screaming his story into the wind. The best continuation, in my opinion, is this behemoth of a fanfiction site that wrote novels on every facet of the story, from Wyvern Castle to Cunt Timeline to Time Dancer to 2148. Glorious fan art, enchanting OCs, true to character depictions, Satakatana any day of the week, almost forgives the fanfic washing over Lexington being gay. But it too is consumed by the void. Every year there's a rumor of a live-action movie, but every year it's live-action disappointment. For 25 goddamn years.
Areola_cherry_cola says, gamers. Companies think they're doing a public service when they try to appeal to casual gamers, but this just creates vanilla games that flop because casual gamers never devote a substantial amount of time into any single game. Stop appealing to wider audiences and just make games gamers want to binge. I'm looking at you, Sea of Thieves.
Diabetesh says, System of a Down fans. We waited when the hiatus happened, we waited when they wanted to tour a bit with old stuff after the hiatus ended, we were told an album is in gay works and patiently waited, and now Serge is like me, I don't like singing anymore. Fuck, dude, let the other 3 move on if you don't want to do it. You let us down every time one of the others has to say, Serge is the hold up.
RauhlDoesWork says, Call of Duty fans, MW2 remaster without multiplayer. Really?
xxxassassin says. This will get buried, but Paragon got absolutely fucked over by Epic Games. Paragon was going okay. They released a new update called the Monolith Update and it completely changed the game. No one liked it, but Epic Games continued to develop without listening to the Paragon community. One day, they told us all to go try their new game, Fortnite. We all played it and they even gave everyone who had paid for Paragon Founders Edition a free copy of the paid Fortnite mode. 2 months ago they announced the closing of Paragon due to it not being successful anymore. The game died because we helped them launch Fortnite and because they wouldn't listen to us when developing Paragon. They gave everyone a refund for their purchases, however, many people are having trouble getting their refunds. As an alternative to waiting for our refunds, we can immediately cash out in V-Bucks. Fucking Fortnite currency. I'm pissed and I'm out of this bitch. Not proofreading my comment. Sorry, this bitch has me angry as hell.
Snowsun says. Matrix fans. They promised it would be a trilogy and then never delivered. On the other hand, I was a little afraid that the new movies might ruin the original, so in a way I'm glad they never came out.
SonofRontgen says. Anything Michael Bay has made a movie out of. Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles especially. Seriously, the man seems to make a hobby of taking a dump on my childhood memories.
Logo Parley's _ says. Torchwood. You finally bring back your show, but it's half American. Okay, fine, the execution is actually still pretty good, and there is a surprising amount of whales still in the show. This season isn't really compatible with DW, but DW was kinda crap by this point anyways. Still, Jack, Gwen, and Reese are all lots of fun, and even Rex and Esther are good characters. Then you throw a cliffhanger into the last 5 minutes. Then you throw a second cliffhanger into the last 10 seconds. Then you never make a 5th season.
14th_Eagle says. Team Fortress 2. The game literally has 2 people who code. They have let us down time and time again. They have shown their ineptitude and lack of fucks. I could rant all day, but this documentary really sums it up well. Edit, better link.
Just_for_the_lulz says. Fans of Stephen King's The Dark Tower series of books. I've been a huge King fan since I was a kid, starting with The Stand and different seasons before I hit double digits. Fun fact, 3 of the 4 novellas in different seasons were turned into movies: The Shawshank Redemption, Stand By Me, and Apt Pupil. When the Dark Tower series came out, it was one of the first times I was really excited for a book series. It ultimately went to 8 books, and it was such an engaging storyline and fantastic imagery and character development. When my girlfriend and I heard they were adapting it into a film, we talked for hours about it, including who we thought would be the best actors based on King's descriptions in the books. Idris Elba as the gunslinger never even entered our minds, but he did a decent job. Our biggest concern was that, since there were 8 books to the series, there would be multiple movies, so we'd have to wait a few years for each one. What we got, instead, was a painful to watch, rushed piece of shit that tried to cram all 8 books into 95 minutes. It pretty much cut all of the mythos, plot and character development, modern yet old West wasteland, and just plain appeal of the books. The best description I heard of the film was it's like Last Action Hero if it was trying to be serious. From what I understand, the movie was supposed to be a jumping-off point for more movies and a TV series, but was so poorly received, grossing about $110 million on a budget of $60 million, that they've shelved the rest for now. The film received a 34/100ths from Metacritic, and Rotten Tomatoes has the film at 16%, with the critic consensus of go. Then, there are other Stephen King adaptations than these. Talk about a huge disappointment for the fan base.
Seelentau says. Since all the games and series have been named already, I'll go with Bleach, the manga. I haven't been into it too deep to care, but from what I've heard, the writer rushed the ending after stretching out the latter half for too long, left a shit ton of characters' fates unanswered, along with an equally shitty ton of plot holes.
JM Black says, David Faster Wallace fans, as dark as that is contextually. He killed himself before finishing his next book. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard it feels like the non-ending is intentional. Not that I blame the guy either.
Nix124 says, I'm surprised no one has said Heroes. It's been a while, but that show was so badass in the beginning, and then it just started going haywire. Plots were completely abandoned, characters never developed, and then it just all ended on a huge cliffhanger. What the fuck?